Welcome to the No Love Podcast, where we decrease tomorrow's divorce rate today by teaching singles and couples alike how to experience love on purpose and not by chance. I am your host, Edward L. Fairley, accompanied by my wonderful co-host, Michelle Larkin. Michelle, say hi to the people.
Hi, people. It's no love time. I'm trying to get us to stream, so just keep talking.
I was going to start with you. I wanted you to share with stuff that you got going on.
I had the most blessed week ever. Had the most blessed weekend ever.
Okay. I want you to share what that consisted of. What did you do? Why was it so blessed? What you working on? What's next?
All right. So I just posted so I can stop paying attention to my phone and we can move on. So I actually had the opportunity to visit, present, and be a keynote at a women's tea, and I was able to speak on the power of the pearl. And oh my God, God just was blessed. It was an amazing event. We were nice, beautiful tea of wonderful women, and we talked about how the power of the pearl is actually in its becoming. So the pearl starts with an irritation or an injury or a bacteria or some sort of foreign body, and the process of healing for the mollusk is what causes the pearl. So we just talked about how all these things that happen to us in our process of healing is where we get our wisdom, and we're beautiful beautifully adorned with all of our experiences that we've been healed through. And one of the most wonderful thing out of that was somebody that was there was going through a very difficult time and thinking of taking their life, and they shared it with the group, and we were able to wrap our arms around them and take them to another more positive space, and just let them know they're loved and appreciated and seen and heard. Same thing for the second event of the weekend was a Queen's Blues workshop where I was teaching on the power of your intentions and being really strategic about knowing who you are and taking steps to become who you want to be. And we worked through vision boards and all that kind of stuff. But that was another one where we spent a full 24 hours straight. Like I think we were up for 15 of those hours just talking. And it was awesome to see how giving women, I don't even want to say women, giving people a place where they can be seen, heard, accepted, and challenged with their beliefs. Because in this one, the main point was, why do we keep believing lies? Like, and if you were hurt as a child or you took something in as a child and you believed it, why are you believing it at 30, 40, 50 if it wasn't true? Like, why are you still playing that over in your head and making some crazy decisions? So I feel very blessed. Oh, I also, the catapult thing launched. So I'm just like really like excited. Like things are just moving. So, I mean, I'd be like.
So you're just going to say catapult thing and not explain what that is?
Oh, my bad. All of this is on umi-connections.com. Anyway, so
They're not gonna know what catapult is. You're just gonna send them to
Catapult is a course for professionals who are in transition, whether you're transitioning out of school into your first position or transitioning in a position to a newer position. My intent was to gather some experts that I have the privilege of knowing and giving some advice on how do you position yourself for a promotion. So it's a series that I'm preparing to launch on a paid platform, but it's going to be a course, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm just happy. I'm happy to be able to help people. I love this game.
I got a sneak peek of the content. It's very, very good quality content. Stuff that, it's one thing to do things. I've stated, some people are just naturally gifted or talented, but it's one thing to go from being gifted to intentional because you understand why you're succeeding. So that's pretty much what this whole concept of no love is all about, as opposed to haphazardly experiencing love, understanding what you're experiencing so that you can experience it on purpose and not by chance. So
and share it effectively. If you know what you went through, then you can share it. If you've documented, you actually paused and thought about the progress that you're making, it's so much easier to share what you know for sure than what you, like you said, accidentally tripped into. And you're like, I don't know how I got happy. I just got happy. Like,
Yeah.
No, I was intentional. I looked at my script in my head. I re-scripted it. I did the work to journal. I saw my progress. When I had a reaction, I edited, I paused, I did a new reaction. Like when you know that for sure, then you can share. And that's what I'm just doing it from a probably a professional side, and this is more of a relationship side, but that's why we mesh so well. It's because, we got synergy, man. I mean, we just got
Well, no
synergy.
love is not just for romantic relationships.
Yeah.
Effective communication is necessary outside of relationships. Um, Loving yourself, that bleeds over to how you interact with people at work, in the streets, just in general, and being intentional about your method of communicating and being able to be transparent and open and honest with people. That definitely works well in the business world because it causes you to connect with persons and they feel the authenticity, which in turn allows them or causes them to want to do business with you or even partner up with you as far as them building their business. So it's definitely a correlation between the two. Yeah. I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of
Congratulations on
you too.
anything that you have coming up next that people should be thinking about or considering.
No, I'm gonna release the Power of the Pearl as a podcast. I recorded it, so I'll let everybody know when that comes out. What I've learned is that um, I'm not gonna hold on to it. I'm not gonna be so strategic that I'm holding on to it for this, whatever this plan is. When it comes in, it should go out. Just let it be.
Perfect. Excellent. As far as the no love end, right now, there's a couple things going on. One, we have a sale going on. All no
Sorry,
love
did you say
t-shirts.
No Love Land? Because that's awesome. No
I
Love
did.
Land ought to be a
I
place, a
I
destination that
didn't.
we should all plan to visit. No Love Land.
I don't think I said that. I'm gonna have to listen to the recording later. Maybe that I spoke it into existence. Maybe I don't know. But as far as what's going on over here in No Love, there is a sale going on. All T-shirts are $5. We're basically clearing out all No Love stuff right now. So if you go to No Love Inc. Facebook page, you can inbox me if there's any left. Right now, we're sold out of double XLs. There's only two mediums left, and then I think there's like 23 larges left, maybe three mediums, and like 6 or 7 smalls. They've been going
Like
fast
hot.
ever since. Ever since I said that everything is $5 and must go. We're looking for. I have designers working on creating some new logos and things of that nature for new merchandise that will be coming soon. Also, right now it's going through a developing process, but we've submitted the actual Android version of the app to the Google Play Store. So we're waiting any day now. That should be available for those who are Android users to play on the No Love simulation. I stress the word simulation because people see it in the board game form or even that it's on the app and you're rolling the die and moving pieces and they think that it's a game. But when they start reading the landing spaces or the cards and things of that nature, their minds shift. And I definitely don't want people to go into it thinking that they're about to play a game because you're about to go into some frustration and some learning and some mind stretching, which is what this whole platform is for as well. But the No Love the app simulation is for you to indirectly succeed and fail at dating, relationships, and marriage so that you can learn from the counseling that's embedded in the simulation, how to go about relationships and how to succeed in them by the failures that you more than likely will have throughout the game. You advance to relationship, you break up, you have children. It's life on steroids.
I think what's
The
cool
game,
about it is that it's a surprise. Like you said, like just in life, you're moving your pieces around, and you could be surprised by something unexpected, and you have to make an adjustment.
yeah, most certainly. So That's what's going on over here in, I guess, as you stated, no love
No
land.
love land. Welcome to
Uh,
no love land.
I definitely,
It's like
Michelle is,
Wakanda. We need to find
Michelle,
our. We need to find our.
Michelle's been getting on me about a launch party and things of that nature. And that's just not my lane. So I'm like, if somebody is
I would
going to
like to
do,
have a meetup to have game night. So if you were interested in having a meetup somewhere where we can bring the games out because we got a couple sets and play with us. Oh, I'm sorry, simulate with us in a mini no love land. So we'll create our own little no love land. If you're interested in having a meetup, you should put it in the thing. We will make it happen. Make a comment. Yes, I would like to have a meetup with no love.
tell her to make it happen because that's just not my lane.
Not
I'll
hard at
be
all.
there.
I will put it on Meetup and we will do the whole formal thing. But if you guys are interested, you just let us know and we will take the next steps.
Perfect. All right. She said it. I'll just be there.
Of
So
course you will.
let's get into this topic. First and foremost, let's go with the title of the topic of discussion is
Which I don't
look
know.
and listen. Yeah, because she doesn't know.
I don't know.
Look and listen with your mind, not your eyes and ears. Say that again. Look and listen with your mind, not your eyes and ears. This kind of piggybacks. Last week was a very, very interactive topic, and it remained interactive. I was getting inboxes, text messages about comments. There's clearly going to be a show 2 and possibly 3 and 4, which will be down the line. But last week's topic about sex was just foundational information that should be understood and considered when going about sex. And if you have not heard that show, it is available either on the No Love Podcast YouTube page or the No Love Podcast on any like Audible or podcast platform like Spotify, Google's Play Store, Apple's store, like pretty much anything. If you just type in No Love and you listen to podcasts, it should be there, and you can listen to those particular shows. So that is a show, and we talked about sex being mental. So I definitely want to kind of elaborate on this whole mental concept and thought process. And also, I found myself through my interactions with people talking a lot about people looking at stuff with their eyes and being easily fooled because they're doing so. So my daughter, she asked me, it's probably 2 or 3 months now ago, and she was so sincere. She said, "Dad, do you even like watching movies?" And I'm like, "Well, why would you say that?" I enjoy movies. And she said, "Because you already know what's going to happen before it happens." And I said, "Well, I like puzzles, which is why I'm in the people business, relationships. People are the most complex puzzles there are." I said, "But that's actually why I like watching the movies. I'm watching it and trying to figure out what is going to happen. And I'm watching it with my mind, whereby you and your mom and other people that I watch movies with, you're watching it with your eyes and listening to it with just your ears. For example, I know around about how much it costs to create a scene. So I know no one's going to spend a whole bunch of money to put in front of you a scene that is not going to be utilized. If they're going to show a picture or zoom in on a picture or an animal or something like that, there's no way they're going to waste their money doing that because it costs money to have a scene. So it's going to be intentional about putting it in if it costs the money in order for them to do it. So I'm watching it thinking, well, why was that done? Which in turn causes puzzles to be put together and ultimately there be a conclusion. So though I might figure out what is happening very early or to my daughter, just so I can kind of get her in the mindset of looking with her mind and listening with her eyes, with her mind, I kind of share with her, okay, well, did you see that? This is what's about to happen. And she's like, oh my gosh, how did you see that when it finally happens? I'm like, because I'm looking at it with my mind, not my eyes. Another example of that is when I'm on conference calls, whenever I can, I have my daughter listen on the conference calls and how I'm interacting and doing business with other people. And she'll ask me, like, how did you come up with that conclusion? Or how did you come to that conclusion? Or how did you expose them? And I'm like, well, did you hear he or she said this? And that does not align with that. So don't trust what you hear. Kind of figure out why did they say it, or what's behind that, or find a way to expose the truth in that. So I'm not rambling. I'm literally telling you all this because I want you all to kind of get an idea as to where we're going as far as with looking with your mind and not with your eyes, and listening with your mind and not your ears. So I'm going to give different examples of that in the respective relationship phases so that you all can see how you all should be dating in a relationship or getting married with your mind in mind, as opposed to being fooled by your eyes and your ears. Any thoughts before I even start, Michelle?
I think having watched a couple of movies with you, and also with a professional filmmaker type, yes, there are different ways of consuming content, right? So there's entertainment factor, which is sheer like the gloss and the glitz and the glamour and the look and the feel of it. Then there's the content of it, from the storyline. But then there's the evaluation of it, which is what you're talking about, which is evaluating all of the things that went into it. What's the purpose? What was their intent? What's the set mean? Like, everything behind people also is contributing to it. Like you said, there's process to making a film, and every single thing is intentional. Everything from lighting to placement of things to clothes to color, it's all intentional to create a some sort of feeling or connection. So again, what I took away from that was that there's layers of engagement, and I'm sure as we go through this conversation, my other thing was, do you take all the fun out of it when you're watching it to figure out how to prove to somebody that you were right because you figured it out? Like, is that like fun? I mean,
I don't go about watching a movie that way anyway.
You like. Let me just say, you got this face. You watching the movie.
I have that face with. First of all, Michelle always she picks on me. I have a lot of people that pick on me. They say, like, that's your excitement. That's it. Like, you just launched the whole app, or you just finished the whole board game. And you just birthed a baby, and you're like, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm, and she says, I'm so dry. I have no
Look
kind
at
of
them laughing. We're so happy. You see that right there? We're happy. This is me evaluating and engaging with the content on the screen as he would do for a movie. Look at the smile on his face. Do you see that? I think that's intentional. What do you think? Let's think about that. Is he intending to communicate something with the smile? I wonder.
Oh my goodness. So I definitely enjoy it, and I definitely don't, like I said, I'm sharing stuff with my daughter to get her familiar with looking at things with her mind instead of her eyes. I told her, I said, I don't trust my eyes and I don't trust my ears. So I question what I see and hear with my mind. That's just how I operate. Like, that's why magicians get over on you. That's why slicksters get over on you, because they know that you trust your eyes and you trust your ears. So I'm going to go into some more examples so that you all can see what I mean from a romantic relationship standpoint, or the process of going through the dating or relationship standpoint, when you're dating in a relationship and marriage, so that we can prevent you all from being fooled by your ears and your eyes, so that we can get you all more acclimated with.
To pause. Like, I mean, maybe it's not that somebody's trying to dupe you, but at least you can evaluate and be sure of what's going on. And
it's interesting that you use the word dupe you, because oftentimes, and you even said that earlier, your assumptions are the duper, or the thing that's duping you. It's you've concluded under assumptions, or not even with your eyes, or with your eyes,
right one,
or your ears. Yeah, what you're gonna find out more here. So let's dive in. I'm gonna start with those of you who are dating. I promise you, this will change some of y'all's lives today. When you're out dating, I want you all to keep these things in mind. So oftentimes, a lot of people, they start getting booed up and things of that nature come. Yeah, I said boot up. I said it. In the winter or in February. So it's a very common month for people to start getting booed up, or
break up at Christmas. So I don't have to buy you a present.
I don't know about all of that, but some people are trifling like that. It's unfortunate. But
is it cuffing season? Is it cuffing season?
Cuffing season. That's what a lot of people call it. So interestingly enough, February, clearly that is that's Valentine's Day. People are excited about the whole romantic aspect of it, but it's also tax season. All right. So when you're dating, or if someone approaches you in the month of February, it is highly probable that you're going to see them at their best, on their A game, so to speak.
Balling out of control.
Stuff right. Hair and stuff right. Got the car. They might even have a new car. They might have. They can always pay for the meal. What you all are always going out and doing stuff, and you're not thinking about the fact that this could be the result of someone having just extra money from their refund, their tax refund. So again, thinking with your mind, not with your eyes. This might not necessarily be the setup. This might not necessarily be the consistency, and you are making a decision about whether you want to transition with this person based off of something that you're seeing, which is not necessarily what the reality of the relationship or even that person would be. So this is what I mean by don't look or listen with your mind. Look with your eyes and your ears. Look with and listen with your mind. So be mindful of, okay, I just caught him, or we linked up, and he got it going on, or she got it going on. She got her nails done, her hair right. She's consistent with how she always up to par, got her stuff together. He's always taking me out. He always does this and that. Is this a temporary setup, or is this, it says, check those dates out, laugh out loud. That's right, Mike. Check those dates out. Yeah, you got to check out those dates. You got to look with your mind. Don't get so caught up in the actual situation or what's at hand right now. I see you right, Michelle. So go ahead and respond before I go into the next, the next example of this. I know something that's real close to this, but go ahead.
It was resonating me with, because I advocate for critical thinking, right? And that's basically what we're talking about, is being a little bit more questioning. But if we were flipping back to our previous conversation last week about intimacy and all of that it involves, it's very much a mental game, right? So that's what we were talking about. It's very much a mental engagement. And that the more you have a more honest and authentic connection if you look with your mind, because your mind is what's engaged. Your eyes can get distracted with the glitzy, like you said, all the money or whatever your heart wants to see, that your eyes are just going to translate for you and interpret for you, and you forget the brain. You got this like weird wiring going on where your eyes see flash and your heart goes pitter patter, and then you think you're in love and you forgot to include the brain in the process, and then it wakes up later and goes, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah. Remember last week I said, isn't it funny when you break up, you start seeing all the flaws.
Yeah, like the brain starts to participate in the conversation and goes, that doesn't connect to that. But brain was always there. We just shut it down by getting the eyes and the heart to connection real quick, and then be like, I don't need to consult the brain. I don't need to consult the brain. It doesn't exist.
You're not gonna comment on my Chinese drink cup. I have a whole bunch of these, and I always drink my water for them from this. Don't be
We've
judging
already
me.
had this discussion, and I can't win. He's gonna use his big old cup, regardless.
I drink a whole bunch of water, and for your information, just to show you how intentional I am,
I think that's a container. It's not even a cup.
I drink 72 ounces minimal of water a day. These are 24 ounces, so I drink 3 of them.
Clear skin.
Minimum. So I'm not just drinking, I'm measuring while I'm drinking. So just to show you how much, it's intentional. Everything about what I do is intentional.
Giggle? Is this giggling intentional?
Sometimes what you hear is not what you see, and sometimes actions, they say they love you, but never show that they do. We're going to get into that, Ms. Lisa. You're right.
We got to take
Ms. Lisa said, please throw that cup away. You all are not going to judge me on my show this evening.
He's not going to throw the cup away. Let me tell you, it's not going to. We had this discussion off camera. It's not going
Okay. All right.
First week.
You said what?
I said we had this discussion off camera first week, and you were like,
oh, yeah.
It's my cup.
Certainly. It's my cup. I have multiple. Yeah, and it's not even the same cup from last week.
I mean, but it's gonna be big. Whatever it is, it's gonna be big.
Exactly, it's gonna be a big cup. So yes, Miss Lisa, for once she said throw my cup away. That's rude, Miss Lisa. And Tila gonna put yup. That's the teacup. Guess who is up here? Miss Isla is up here.
Wow!
Hey, Isla, how are you? So we are in this topic. Another one for you college students that are listening. It might not be February, but it may very well be refund check time. That extra amount that they send, please be mindful of this. You see them, he's cute, he's on campus, she's sexy, she's on campus, and they got it going on. Their hair done, their nails done. He's well groomed. He got all the new stuff. He's able to pay for the movies and all. Y'all not just eating oodles and noodles. Please be mindful of the time. Use your mind. Think about the setup. Think about you. Like, are you right now on the come up right now because you got your tax? Are you on the come up right now because you got your refund? That may very well be their circumstance. So don't get all caught up in this particular scenario of the relationship or the introduction, because that might not very well be the consistency that is going to come or play out in this possible relationship. It's not a good time to draw a conclusion about this person and how they keep themselves and things of that nature during times where there's excess cash that is typically distributed amongst pretty much everyone in the United States or everyone on campus because they got their refund check. So that is just examples of dating. Do you have any other examples you want to bring up, Michelle? This is not going to be a long show.
The other one that came into my mind was when somebody's just broken up with somebody or they've had a really bad relationship and they are over. It seems like you're just the best thing that ever happened to them, and you're like and you realize you don't look anything like the person they dated before. You have nothing in common with them. They're like, and because most people have a type, like, so are you really the rebound, or are you like a gap fill? Like, you need to think about those things when somebody's really in pain and they're just kind of needing a comfort. And they don't come across that way. At first they're like, you just, and you're like, like, did I? I was here last week. You didn't talk to me. But you just like, you think about it. Just think about what could be the reason. Not to say that they're wrong or right, but just think about it. It's just evaluating is what we're talking about. It's just seeing the movie, not just for being the rock is in the movie or who's in it, but watching what's the movie about. Yeah,
most certainly. All right, so let's go into the relationship. Those of you who are in a relationship, this is when we start seeing with our mind's eye. This is even tapping into the whole God complex thing. So
I'm a recovering God complex person, so I think I'll be able to contribute. I'm recovered though.
Do you have proof that they had consistent employment before? You know how they say, just lost my job, coming up on hard times, and you're like, oh, he or she needs a break. Let me go ahead and, everybody has a whatever. But do you have any kind of evidence that they had employment consistency for a while, or is this typical? Like, how long was this? When did it start? Like, are we past the actual the what's the word I'm looking for? The unemployment phase.
Yeah.
Like,
or are they the reason that they don't have a job, or had lost a job, or is there have some behavior issues?
Exactly. What happened? Talk to me and listen to that story. Like, like. Also, please, oh my gosh, please listen to victim stories. I'm not saying that there's no victims, but please listen. Like, listen, Linda, listen, Linda, listen. Hey, please listen to victim stories. Like, first and foremost, we're talking about, it's kind of fresh, and you just like, it's new when you're leading with victim stories. Please let that be all kinds of flags.
Yellow, red, yellow, red.
Please. And
this is like in the movie when the person answers the door and all the music goes and you're like, why are you going toward the door? Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
You're going to die.
Please, like, I really need you to start thinking like, okay, because with that story, like, nah, you got fired because of what again? Say again. Why would you? There was not a layoff. You got fired. What? I don't understand that story. What was that? What? Like, so run it by me.
You were not culpable at all. It was in no way, shape, or form were you responsible for any of it. Yeah. Nothing. You did. Yeah. Nothing. They just woke up one day.
That's a flag too. We typically, and it's not uncommon for people, but like, you don't find any fault in what you did at all. I'm a person. I've been that way for as long as I can remember. I always look at me first and work my way out to you. Now, if I get to you, we have a problem. If I can't think of anything that I've done that could contribute to how we've gotten to this place, and I get all the way to you, we have a serious problem. I usually can say, hey, I can see how I contributed to this, where the confusion lies or what have you. Now, please, let's address this. But if I rack my brain, I'm like, I can't see how I have any fault in this. You're just trifling. It might get real bad. Because I promise you, I investigate myself first before I even consider what you have done or how you caused this to be.
But you have to remember, sir.
All right, go ahead.
The rest of us little regular people,
said it's not
we don't have so much pause between what I'm thinking and what comes out of my mouth. Like, you just do this whole reflective thing where you're like, let me pause for a second. And there are the rest of us who are like, dude, no. Like, no filter, no pause, just not doing it. Or you jerk, or you did. I mean, like, because you did. To be honest, you did. Maybe I was culpable, but you did. Like that, like, so we have to think a little bit about the result of the conversation more than because what I'm trying to say is you can get into that space where your first thought is you. Yeah. But hopefully, with listening to this kind of conversation, you start to go, and I need to pause for a second and let you know that I actually did blah 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 too. So it's not like you can't recover from having your first thought. You just have the ability to just say, okay, and you did this, and let me just tell you, I'm aware that I was culpable too, but what I'm gonna need you to do is
But that's why, I mean, we've had interactions. Typically, if I am offended or I'm taken aback by something that you've done, I immediately say, "Hey, this is how I took it. Is this how you meant for me to take it?" And then that's up to you as to where that goes from there. Because if you say yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Now, like I said, because I saw somebody put trifling though. Yes.
Right.
I can do like, oh, so you are trifling. So now
confirm my worst fear. So let me address your trifleness.
Exactly. I give people, but there's been 99.99% of the time when I'm taken aback, and that's a rarity. And I respond and say, "Hey, this is how I took it. Was that how you meant?" They were like, "No," and then I find out, and I get enlightened on how they really were trying to come from a very kind or even loving place before they responded. I investigate myself too, and I'm always right. That's at least.
You know what I'm saying? They can relate to what I was saying. I know I was right when I said you did.
Definitely not always right. Not by a long shot. I got some consistency, but I'm not always right, and I'm perfectly fine.
He speaks with authority, though, so you kind of want check yourself because you're like, he comes across like he's always right.
But sometimes
he's wrong though. Sometimes.
And I admit that I'm wrong, and they're like, "Well, that's it," and I'm like, "Yeah, I was wrong." They're like, "I wanted more." I'm like, it's not that deep. I have no problems with being wrong. We
want the satisfaction of being able to see the little the face go, I was wrong. But it's like, no, I was wrong. You're right. I'm sorry. My bad. It's like, you just stole that from me. But this is what you're talking about is like evaluating, right? So a real honest conversation is evaluating the feedback. And so
exactly.
See all of the feedback, and we have 5 senses. So what we're trying to talk about is don't just trust one of your senses as the absolute truth. It's your eyes, your ears, your mind, your heart, like all of these things provide feedback, and you have to be able to filter and process that. And some of us have just turned off one of the senses. I'm not listening with my heart because it's been broken, or I'm not listening with my mind because I think everybody's dumb. Or I'm just, not going to look at you. I'm going to look past you. I'm going to see what I want to see. But we can learn. We can sometimes dull our senses so we don't have all of the tools that were given to us to get to the truth, and we've just kind of cut some of them off. And I think we're just trying to talk about waking them all up, using them in symphony, and letting your mind actually digest the information that is collected and allow you to really truly interact with somebody from a very honest space.
David Jamel said, how about an apology to go with the admittance, or at least a display of a little remorse? I have no problem.
He apologizes. He just does it like this. Like, I'm sorry.
But I don't do anything that harms people. So let's clarify when we're talking about what's right or wrong. I have apologized for one, the core of me is love. I'm gonna tell you that up front. The core of me is coming from a loving place. So typically if I have to apologize, it's for me, I'm apologizing for how you took it. When we and I will say, hey, I don't apologize for what it is that I've done. I apologize for how you took it. My intent was not for you to receive it that way. And I'll explain myself. I mean, I have no problems doing that. But if I was wrong in a hurtful sense, I definitely will apologize, and you will sense and see the remorse. But when we talk about right or wrong, she's typically talking about like something we researched. Like, for example, matter of fact, you're a perfect example, David Jamel. When we were talking about insure, there's 2 ways to spell the word insure. This is probably about 3 or 4 shows ago. I said, I asked her to look up, I asked Michelle to look up insure. I'm like, I don't think I'm saying it correctly. It might be incorrectly. You said that I was insure spelled with the E. And I said, well, my bad. And then I changed what TIP, the acronym for TIP was. Mm-hmm. I have no problems with that. I'll just say, but, and then when we spoke, I said, insure is actually, it's possibly or possible to spell it both ways, having the same meaning with an I or an E, and they both have the same meaning, and it's interchangeable in the English language. So it was correct in tip. But even when I was right and I thought I possibly could be wrong, I apologize. I have no problems with doing it. Jamel said, I was laughing out loud because I know Eddie ain't gonna do it if he ain't feeling it. He'll apologize for an offense, but not for being offensive.
Not at all. So I want you to clarify a statement that you made, because when you're talking and teaching, you're coming from this place with the assumption that we may have already been aware of what that is, right? So you said my core is a loving place, and so I know that I'm not intentionally trying to harm you. So can you talk a little bit about how you got there? How do you even know that that's the truth?
That's a great question. So first and foremost, that's why, because some people are like, that's kind of harsh, or that's why I don't ever lose sleep over things that I say, and I don't get like, oh my God, because she'd be like, oh my goodness, it's because I know
make other people uncomfortable, but it doesn't make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It might make other people feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable because I know the place that it came from. A good example of that is like I tell my children, like, I'd rather hurt your feelings, you and I, by telling you the truth than about something that you might be saying wrong or doing incorrectly, than not tell you the truth because I'm trying to hurt you, because I'm trying not to hurt your feelings. And then it goes viral and everybody's talking about you. So I'd rather be in private hurting your feelings, so to speak, and protect you from you consistently doing what it is that you're doing that can be harmful to you, as opposed to me ignoring it to try not to hurt your feelings, and then you consistently do it thinking that is correct or right, or in your best interest in ruining your life. I'll give you a great example of what I mean by sometimes, because David Jamel stated that I said, I will apologize for the offense, but I will not apologize for being offensive. And he's right in that statement.
Okay. Yes. It's a
good example of that was, I remember when I was in college, I worked for UPS. And I was taught coming up, if you know how to drive a stick shift, you can drive anything. That's what I was taught. I adopted that as truth. And that season, I was helping deliver packages for UPS. And I was just the driver would drive to the place. He would stop. I would take the package, haul tail to the actual place that we're delivering. It was around Christmas season. Deliver the package, run back to the actual truck, and move forward. And we were moving. We had a nice little momentum going, and we got into this cul-de-sac. And he had parked and left the truck running and ran to the other side. I had already made it back to the truck, and he was still on the other side. The truck was a stick shift. In my mind, if you know how to drive a stick shift, you could drive anything. So I get behind the wheel of the vehicle that's on, put it in first, start driving towards him, and I end up hitting a mailbox. I'm not a driver. I'm a loader for UPS. So clearly we had to do the accident report. We had to, the headlight was damaged. The actual mailbox was damaged that I hit. So we had to do an incident report. He's not supposed to leave the van with the keys on. Supposed to if he leaves the car, he's supposed to take the keys in it. So I end up hitting and we had to do the accident report. So now my job is on the line. His job is on the line. So I have this hearing or whatever, and I had to write what happened and everything, and what my perspective of what I had done and whatever, and why I shouldn't get fired or whatever. So my job is on the line. I'm in college, work for UPS. At that time, I was probably there for 3 or 4 years. And in the letter I wrote, that I apologize that I hit the mailbox, but I do not apologize for trying to intentionally help with moving the process along. I saw an opportunity to drive over to kind of meet him halfway so that we can pick up and move. I don't apologize for my intent. I apologize for the result of my actions, but I don't apologize for my intent. Now, again, my job is on the line. But that is to the core of me. Like, I'm not a bad person. I made a mistake. I hit a mailbox. I take full responsibility for my actions. I don't think that he should lose his job. I think it was just in you all's case, a poor decision, not following protocol. And he trusted that I would just get in the car and wait for him. So I don't think he should be penalized, but I don't apologize for what I did. I apologize for the actual outcome of what I did, but I don't apologize for the intent behind what I did. So that's an example of the apology in my thought process, which all of this is off topic, but it does also help you to
not
see.
Not really. And here's why.
I was about to say.
Is it because what you do is see things with your mind, and your actions follow what your assessment is, not necessarily what you saw or what you're feeling. Like your intent was to move forward, which is a process that your mind was involved in. So yeah, you are what you're talking about.
Got it. So Anthony Page said, what's the difference between offense and being offensive? Doesn't both create offense? No, not necessarily. Just in time, those who are with me, my responses that used to be offensive to them are no longer offensive. And that's because of the interaction and them learning who I am. So my response, whereby at first, like if Michelle heard me say,
I don't think it's as offensive as it is off-putting. And I think even in that scenario that you just described, it wasn't offensive. I think you're disruptive in the status quo, and that can cause some discomfort. And I'm just speaking from personal experience. And so over time, there's a trust that, like you said, your intent is to help. And so even if we don't agree on how it was communicated, the ability to stay in the conversation long enough to figure out what the root cause of the off-puttingness is, ultimately results in a more intimate conversation in our relationship. And I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, that I've also learned not to be so easily offended. I learned to ask better questions. So if I'm uncomfortable and if something makes me feel defensive immediately, I've learned to check and say, well, what triggered it? What triggered that?
Yeah, most certainly. And also to add to your question, where did that come from and how did I get there? I'm always self-analyzing. I'm such a student of myself. I'm a student of everyone, but I'm a avid student of myself. I'm always, as you just stated, checking why did that make you upset? Why did that make you frustrated? Why did that make you? So I stated earlier, I don't trust my eyes. I don't trust my ears. So I question them both with my mind. So I'll ask myself, well, why was that offensive? And I'm asking, well, why did I share that with him or her? And I know I can answer that. And even whenever I'm in leadership or anything, I always say, if it's something that I ask you to do or tell you to do, you should be able to ask me, why did I do it? And I should be able to share with you why. And it should be for the benefit of you, the ministry, the company. It should align with the intent behind what it is that we're doing. I don't even raise my children with it because I said so. I have no problems explaining so that you can start thinking and have intentional decision-making habits as well. Now I'm about to start stepping on toes for the relationship in reference to this particular setting, because I really want to hit some different topics. So the next thing that you need to wrap your mind is, do you have evidence that they're really trying to spend time with their kids or get custody of their children? Do you have evidence of that? Or you just hear him or her say, no, I want to spend time with my kids. He or she's keeping me from my kids or spending time. Do you have evidence? Do you see any court orders? Have you seen them try to get to the house and get denied? Do you really have evidence that that person is really, really trying to spend time with their children? Or are you just listening with your ears as to what it is that they're saying, but you don't really have any evidence that speaks to them really, really wanting their children? Do you have evidence that that proves that they're not selfish? A lot of things that we receive or we're recipients of, whether it be love making, kissing, anything of that nature, it could seem like it's for us. But we talked about that earlier last week. If you're selfish in the bedroom, it could be good because it's a mental thing when you all are first exchanging. But when they start finishing first and turning their back and not even considering that you didn't finish or anything, like how they approach you, or they don't want to share their stuff with you, or like, do you really have evidence that they're not selfish? Or are you assuming because you're not selfish that they're not selfish? You understand what I'm saying?
But that's what we were talking about. Like, if you turn off your brain and you're stimulated by, they're so cute, or they're doing all the stuff I want them to do right now, but you didn't take into consideration that they don't share their food, for example. So is that an indicator of them not really wanting to share? Is that going to come up later? Like, you should take into consideration the whole picture. Not just one of your senses, whether I feel this way, I see this, I hear this. All of the senses are feeding your informing your decisions.
Exactly right. Mr. Page said, offense is annoyance or resentment brought about by a perceived insult to or disregard for oneself or one's standards or principles. When you talk, are your intents to be offensive or honest? That would be honest. I'm there to share honesty, and that's what I mean by the core of me is to be honest or even share information in order for them to make an adjustment or correction. Sometimes I will be honest. I throw out what I call anchors because I've tried so many times to massage the answer into it. And Michelle has seen me do this. Matter of fact, anyone in my circle has seen me do this. I've tried so many ways to get a point across, and I could tell they're not receiving it. So I'll do something that is so dramatic in a statement to make them question, like, wait, why would you say that to me? So that they can turn off their emotional mind and put in their mental and start thinking logical. So sometimes I am intentional about a statement, but it's only to where it's so far off that it makes them come out of that emotional state to come back to thinking about what it is that they're thinking or saying or even feeling at that moment. So I'll do that intentionally if time is running out. And he says, just to note, offended often is not about the giver or information, but more the perception of the person receiving. Okay, I'm gonna give an example, Anthony, and then I'm gonna leave the topic alone. I have a very, very close friend who did 15 years in prison. He got out of prison and he was doing very, very, it got him a job, started working and got a very, very decent job. And he started working and he started helping his mom, his aunt, his grandmother, all of them. And then he found a lady friend and decided to move in with her and started living with her. And I told him, like, hey, I love what you're doing. Great job. Just make sure, do you have a plan B in the sense of, like, if stuff doesn't work out, do you have a place to go? You got money stacked up, or is all your money going into getting a house and stuff, or keeping her house in order and stuff? He said, I'm good. I'm fine. I said, that's fine. All right. If you got it, that's all that matters. So time had gone by. I called him just to check on him, a random check, and I could tell his countenance was low. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He just was like, he didn't sound good. And I'm like, I'll be over there in a minute. He was like, well, what you mean? Nah, you said you good, but I could sense you're not good. I need to see how you looking, how you feeling or whatever. So I went over there talked to him, and come to find out, like, all his money, he's trying to help his mom. His woman wanted him to get a loan out because his credit, he's been in jail since he was 18. He's 30 something now. So now she wants him to get a loan to help her with bills, because he has good credit. He never had a chance to mess up his credit. So his credit was decent where he could get loans. He's helping his mom out, and he's just stressed and overwhelmed. And grandma needs money, aunt needs money, mom needs money. His woman, they all know he's working. She wants help with stuff. And I was telling him, hey, man, I told you multiple times, you're not responsible for them. You're staying at the young lady's house. You should be able to help with bills and things like that. You're not responsible for your mom. You're not responsible for your aunt. You're not responsible for your grandmother. That is not your responsibility. You're supposed to be getting yourself established, getting yourself together, prayerfully getting your own place, but you're not responsible for them. And I could tell, I said it in so many different ways. And he was not receiving it because he's emotionally attached to his mom, his grandma, at this time, his woman, his girlfriend, things of that nature. So this is where I have to throw the anchor for you to receive what it is that I'm saying, because you're too emotionally attached to the statements. So do you know what I told him? I said, you have 15 years of evidence that they don't need you. And he started to cry, heavily cry. And he thanked me for bringing that realization to him, because I lifted a weight off of his shoulders. This is his words. For 15 years, you've been in prison. They made it. They succeeded some kind of way. They even put money on your books. If you die tomorrow, is what I followed up with. They'll find someone else to freeload off of. I got a wow from Anthony. Are you hearing what I'm saying now? This is what I have to do in my counseling and things of that nature, so that some things I have to be drastic. Some things, if you're not receiving it, I'm trying to give you anecdotes and stories and stuff like that, and it's not coming home. So now I have to hit you between the eyes. That may come off as offensive, and I'm okay with that if you take away what it is that needs to be understood. So from that moment, he said, but it's not offensive to you. That might not be as offensive. That could be offensive to anyone, depending on how they receive it. And that's what we mean. That's what he means by I'm okay with being offensive, but I'm not going to apologize
for a purpose. It's offensive for a purpose. The gospel is offensive for a purpose. You challenge people's status quo.
Yeah. So how the person perceives it or receives it is ultimately going to conclude. But I'm just giving you an example to help you understand, because you keep talking about offended or offensive. I'm just giving you the example of what I mean by sometimes I am intentionally offensive, or and I'll say something that will that'll throw you off. Like, wait, what are you saying to me? Why would you say that to me? But it's to reel you in and really grasp the concept of the truth and the realness of what's happening right now. So that's it. So let's move to the next thing. I appreciate that. I'm glad it makes sense to you, Mr. Page. Thank you for your time, your mind and time. So relationships, really, like, because I see so many people that transition, they have these visions of what marriage and stuff is going to be based off of assumptions. And that's where I was going to say, do you have evidence to support any of your assumptions that you've made about this person that you're considering transitioning with? Have they really showed you that they like children? Have you seen them interact with children, or did they say they interact with children? Have you seen them really want their children, or they told you, man, she keeps me from my kids, he keeps me from my kids? Are they giving you stories and you're accepting what you hear, or are you really thinking about it or saying, hold on, I haven't seen you do anything. I haven't seen you go to the state that they live in. I haven't seen you do anything of that nature. Matter of fact, now it's starting to make sense as to why you're not working. That child support and you work. Why is it all your jobs under the table? Stuff is starting to make sense now. No wonder you're ducking. You know what I'm saying? So if we start asking the proper questions with our minds as opposed to accepting things with our ears and our assumptive eyes, then we will probably get to the root of how we almost jumped into something that was gonna really destroy our credit, our life, our everything. So any response before we go into marriage?
Well, just in the relationships and stuff, like, again, going from my own personal experience, like, listening to your mind is also checking in with what you believe to be true about what you want. So you by checking the assumptions of, say this person's cute and they are saying all the right things, and you're ready to be into this next step or this phase of relationship, and they fit all the boxes. But like, for example, like we were saying, they're telling you that they want 2.5 kids, picket fence, and a dog, and that's what you want. But there's no pre-existing history to say that they can maintain or grow a career to be able to support that in the long run. Like, there's no habits that they have that would contribute to supporting that vision. So it's checking in with what you really believe that you want and seeing if it aligns with what you're hearing too. Like, it's not just checking and make sure they're telling the truth, it's make sure, are you being truthful with yourself and listening and seeing if you're aligning, like, and if you're not, asking better questions so to figure out whether those context clues are there. And it's being fully engaged. And like we said earlier, it's not just watching the movie for entertainment's sake. It's not just watching it because I like blow 'em up movies and I like The Rock, so every movie that he's in, I'm going to watch it. And you asked me what the storyline was. I don't know. He was in the movie, and I was like,
he made his pecs jump.
He stood there. Like, that's all I know. he shot 2 people and he stood there. Like, this is how sometimes we get into conversations or into relationships, and we're like, I just want The Rock, or I just want, I want somebody to be blowing up stuff in The Rock. And then you're like, I love this movie. You get to the end of the ride, and you're like, well, what happened? Like, what was the storyline? I'm sorry, this was a horror movie, and the reason you're just upset right now is because you forgot to check that this is a Slayer movie. Like, you're about to get cut up.
Yeah, that's real.
So that's what I'm saying, is that you be engaged, fully engaged.
Which is why you should not be dating or transitioning into a relationship without a non-negotiable list. I.e., for those who have read my book, The Handbook for Increasing Your Relationship IQ, it's called the grocery list. But that is what would make you intentional about your dating. And clearly it's not a physicality list. You said it earlier. You typically have an idea or a preference, so to speak, as to who you're looking for. I promise you, and I do this poll all the time. Majority of people who end up getting married to that right one, if you look at their prom pictures, all the people that they were with prior to, they look nothing like who they with. My wife looks nothing like any of the women that I was with prior to her. My book is called The Handbook for Increasing Your Relationship IQ. If you inbox me your email address, I'll email it to you for free. No need to research it and look for it. I'll gladly send it to you. But it's a non-negotiable list. You should be, your dating is an interview. So if you don't have in your mind who you're looking for, you don't know who you're looking for. and if you get caught up, that's the epitome. Yeah, that's the epitome of this whole statement, and it aligns with her analogy about you just saw The Rock. If your list is physicalities, that's why they're getting over on you, and you can't see in your mind's eye that this is not the right thing, because you have made a decision based off of your eyes, and you're deceived easily because all you see is this, and this can ruin a relationship. And when I say this, I forgot. This is an audio for some people that can't see. When I'm saying this, I'm
physicality.
Yeah, I'm pointing to myself and my face or just my body in general, the physicalities, that a car accident will ruin that.
Mhm.
Time will ruin that. So if you don't have any depth outside of the physicality, time itself is going to destroy that relationship. Because those things that are sitting up are going to drop down. Those those wrinkles and stuff, they're not going to look the same. So please be mindful that I hope that your list has more than just physicalities, because again, time itself is going to destroy that relationship. So
In a
let's
real
get into.
relationship, you can
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
a
ahead.
real relationship is the mind anyway, because the mind doesn't age; it actually gets better with age.
That's wonderful. That is an excellent statement. That is a #9. The relationship is really the mind, because that is where the relationship lies. That's where actually everything lies. Your perspective, your thought process. You're typically battling with your thoughts, your experiences. They're all based off of your thought process. So let's go into marriage for you. Are these people that are transitioning? When we talk about relationship, basically that is already the marriage. But when I'm talking about these are things that you need to be mindful prior to signing the contract and getting married. And I see this so often. I've actually been a victim of it. In some instances. Whereas well, we just talked about kids. So have you witnessed them interacting with a kid or children? Like I've heard people say, well, I love him because he likes kids or wants kids or whatever. And I'm like, did you really, have you really seen him with he or she with some children? You want children, but have you really
Like
seen them?
for the weekend,
Exactly.
a couple hours.
I've had people who I had to counsel, and they got married, and after the counseling, because they were in a really, really rocky place, I realized it was a transactional, and that was actually what he and I had to conclude. Like his marriage was a transaction, and when he found out she couldn't get pregnant, he didn't want no parts of it anymore. And well, and let me clarify, it wasn't that she couldn't get pregnant, she was having a hard time getting pregnant, and she concluded after that she didn't want to anymore. So I had to have a real question. So if she doesn't want a baby, where does that leave you? He was like, he's done. And that was the reality of this. Like you signed up in hopes that she was going to give you a kid. It had nothing to do with who she was or anything of that nature. It was and I would go deeper into like why that was such a thing, but I don't want to disclose too much to where people could try to start narrowing down who I'm talking about. But there's some serious things that people are not. They're making decisions based off of wants or transactions, and it's not necessarily because they love or they're into that person. Another thing, do you have evidence that they cleaned their room, or that they folded their clothes, or that they cooked, or were those things done at their parents' house that they live at when you got there? So do you have evidence that all of that stuff was done? Like, are you assuming that that plate that was made for you by the time you got there, that he or she made it, and you're marrying the assumption that he or she can cook? Are you every time you go over there, their room is immaculate, so you're assuming that they're domesticated, but you never saw them clean their room? You never saw them make that bed? How do you know that's not their mom cleaning up for them? So now you're getting married to someone who you assume is domesticated, and the house is the wreck. And in their mind, you're gonna take care of stuff like their mom or dad did for them. So is this real, or is it just something you see? Is it really
that you chose to interpret and not confirm? Like you said,
Exactly.
assumption.
This is
Like
what I mean. Do you have
they're telling you what you
evidence?
want to hear.
Do you have evidence
Their
that
representative is on point.
yeah.
Their representative that they're sending to this relationship is on
Well,
point.
in that case, it's not really a representative.
I mean,
It is you making an assumption based off of things that would seem like evidence.
that's true. I
I go
mean,
there
we
every
like
day.
the representative. The representative
Her or
can be
his
coached.
room is always clean. Her or his clothes and stuff are always folded. Her and his clothes are always clean. You see all of this, and you say, "Well, she's an adult. He's an adult. This got to be him that's keeping this stuff in order." That's not necessarily true. And then you get married and you have a realization, oh my goodness, I saw her mom folding them clothes. Oh my goodness, I saw her mom always cooking. I never saw him oh my goodness, I never saw him clean his room. His mom was cleaning his room. Oh my goodness, I never saw him clean the bathroom. His mom or dad was cleaning the bathroom.
Or he had a maid. Or she had a maid.
Said, yeah. Or they had a maid or whatever. But like, do you have evidence of the things that you think you're getting yourself into? Do you have evidence that they are that thing? This is what I mean by look and listen with your mind, not your eyes and ears. Ask questions. Look for evidence.
I think it's confirm and validate and investigate. You know what I mean? Like, because your eyes are giving you information. Your ears are giving you information. But be engaged enough or value the exchange enough to truly connect the dots. If A equals C and I put B in there, how does that impact the equation?
Yeah.
Your life is on stake because your life is at stake. To be honest, life is short. And your life is on the line. Every time you allow somebody to come in here and mess in your space, you are either wasting time or learning something. So which is it? So
marriage is supposed to be a life sentence. It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
But the way that we're going about it, I've even been a victim of it. We're like, yo, I don't have to deal with this. I put my hands up. I'm done. Like, I don't need this. But this is more preventative measures that I want you all to consider, because you can see stuff that is just not what it is. I can't stress that enough. If you look at things with your eyes, you're easily fooled. If you listen to things with your ears, you're easily fooled. Who's going to tell you, hey, I promise you, I'm not trying to get no job. I am not interested in bettering myself. I am not interested in getting a job where I don't have to work under the table, where they can find me and they can start garnishing my wages for my back pay and child support. Who's going to say that? They're not going to say that. Who's going to say, oh, I like you a lot. I want you to marry me, but I ain't into you. You want kids? I ain't really into no kids though. I'm not
unless you create the space for them to be honest, which is what we're talking about. Is if you listen with your mind and you're engaged.
But I'm saying people don't just say
it's not the first thing that come out.
That I am a loser, or I am I am not about ambition or trying to better myself. People don't say that. I am not. You know, you have a lot of people that say I'm not for adulting today. I am not adulting today. Like,
it's not adulting today.
You have people that are like, I'm not adulting ever. Like, I am straight up like, hold on. Why are you still at the house? Is it a medical situation? Are you helping your mom? Who's helping who? Did you just have a setback? Again, find out how long ago that setback was, what happened. I'm not saying that people don't have hard times. I'm just saying, where's the evidence that there's been consistency and stuff in their actions that they're claiming? Where is it at? Have they really been fighting for their children? Have you physically seen that, or have you just heard it? So I really like, I'm just gonna, before we conclude, go ahead, Michelle, share your concluding thoughts But this is again, this is not a really deep show, but it's a deep show. Because
it's a deep show.
go ahead.
I think what my heart is that what you learn with wisdom and age, we're trying to share a little bit of nuggets of that earlier so that people don't have to have the same experience. Like, again, I'm divorced because I didn't take the time to ask some of these questions, and try to overwrite what I thought with what I saw because I valued one sense over the other. And as time has grown, I realized that all of my senses are valuable. So not to override one or the other, take it all in and just really sit back and process it. And does it align with who I believe I am or where I want to be? And like I said, it's easy to shut one of these senses off. It's very easy to do and not even realize it until you get frustrated. And so frustration or anger or concern are just wonderful triggers for you to double check. Just double check. And nobody's saying this is right or wrong. Like nobody's saying that if they live with their mom, they're a horrible person, or if that's not what we're saying. We're saying is just be mindful, reflect, and engage, because listening is an active situation. Active. It's not just don't get distracted with the glitz and everything that they always say, everything that glitters is not gold. All sounds that sound good aren't saying good. Everything that you can see, touch, and feel and feels good isn't good for you. All of those things are little nuggets of wisdom, but collectively what that says is take all of the information and trust that you need to sit with it. And the person, if you're engaged with them, is valuable enough for you to engage with them, then they're valuable enough to listen to. If you're going to take time to spend time, then take the time to really spend the time. Don't just halfway do it. Be completely in the game.
You need to love yourself enough to investigate who you're about to invest your life in. Like I love myself, and I am not going to just add someone to my life that is going to be a deterrent or someone that's going to suck life from me or make my life worse when I'm enjoying my life by myself or with who I'm with at the time. So I'm just not doing that. So there are criteria that are necessary in order for us to transition from where the state that we're in to move forward. And if these questions are offensive, then I'm sorry, but I think we need to go ahead and put a sock in it, Jaffe. The boys in love. That was so random. Shout out to all people who like coming to America. But that is no, and at the same token, we've already had this conversation. I'm not talking about you going to find someone to make up for what you lack. So don't go over there trying to ask all these questions. What kind of car you drive, where you live at, and you don't have nothing yourself. Be what you expect them to be. Have what you expect them to have, so that you're not looking for them to complete you, as people like to say. I can't stand it. But you should already be whole and not looking for someone to make you whole. So with that being said, I'm just going to summarize everything. Dating, those who are dating, pay attention to them seasons, y'all. If it's tax season or if you're in college, it is refund check time. Please don't fall for the illusion that they got it all together and it's always that way. Make sure that dating time span is long enough for that money to run out for you, so that you can see who you're really dealing with before you decide, you know what, let's take this to another level. So for those who are dating, like really, really be mindful of the time frame. Where they're at in their lives, and analyze where you're at in your life to help with that as well. Like, hey, you just got your refund check. That's why you looking pretty good. You just got your income tax. So just be mindful of that. Relationships, we discussed. Like, do you have proof of them being employed consistently prior to them saying they just got on hard times? And this is technically like you're dating and you notice he or she is struggling, but they like you've concluded that, oh well, all people, how we get, all people have a hard time, so we trying to be understanding and all this stuff like that.
We can justify.
Yeah, exactly. We'll justify. So be understanding, but don't be understanding. And what I mean by that is be understanding in the sense that you're asking questions to understand the real circumstance, not, oh, some people, they fall on hard times. I'm not saying people don't, but I'm saying, well, where were you working at? How long were you there prior to that? What is this like whoa, we on job 17. This seems to be frequent. Are you working at the table? I noticed like you're doing a lot of restaurant jobs. What is that? What is that about? Just ask questions, and if it shouldn't be offensive if it's the truth. Period. I just want to know and understand. Do you have evidence that they're really trying to spend time with their children? I have a lot of people that are in relationships. They so in love. Oh, I can't stand her. She tried to keep him away from his kids. Vice versa. I can't stand him. He trying to keep her away from his kids. And it's like, first red flag is it's a rarity that they take the kids from the mom. So you should already have a red flag going up as a guy. Like, wait, what? You lost the case? What did they have on you to where they gave him the babies? So that, like, this is what I mean by like checking your mind before you check what you're hearing. So what's going on? Like, get more information. Do you have proof that they're not selfish? Like, everything that they do, it seems like it's for you, but could it really be a selfish intent? Did you notice that when you asked for a fry, they kind of suck their teeth or side at you like, so it's like, what was that about? I can't get a fry. Now, let me make it clear, because there's some times where I understand this. If you ask, so I'm about to fix an argument right now. I have people. If you ask someone, hey, babe, you want some French fries? I'm about to go to the store and get some shrimp or whatever. You want some? And they say, nah, I'm good. And then you come back with yours and they want to dig inside your plate. And you like, I asked you, hey, you have the right to be upset.
A little.
If
you can give me one though.
If this is the first time this happened, you don't have the right to be upset. If this is always saying, just get an extra fry. Get an extra, she's gonna do it or he's gonna do it. Get the extra side of fry or whatever. You already know. That's why you asked the question. You know how they are. So go ahead and get the extra. But now, again, a valid, like, I asked her, because I know how people think. They'll go in their head, nah, hold on, that ain't right. If I ask, you're exactly right. If you ask if they want some, they said no, they shouldn't be asking for your stuff. But you could prevent that by just getting them the stuff, and you don't have to deal with that in the first place. You're welcome. Then we have the last thing, marriage. Please, like, inspect what you expect. Please, like, did you see her clean that room? Did you see him clean his room? Did you see her cook? Did you see him cook before you conclude that they're so domesticated? Oh. Did you see him do that? Or they just live with their parents and their parents are doing those things that you assume you're going to get as far as a relationship is concerned. So please inspect what you expect. Ask the necessary questions. Look for evidence. Let your eyes, your mind, and your mind and your ears work together. Like, he said this, but has he done this? He's done this, but is it like, what's the intent behind it? Where did that come from? So, like, really ask necessary questions. I don't want you all going into relationships and things of that nature being fooled. It's hard to get time back. And we typically remember the worst things, and then we take that stuff into the following relationship, assuming that everybody's the same. So let's just prevent bad experiences from happening by going into this whole thing correctly. Or at least
come into the experience with tools to get through the situation without permanent harm.
Yep. So that concludes this show. Not a deep show, but it's a deep show. See how I did that there? It's definitely stuff that people experience, and they're not really thinking about it because they're just going with the motions, and it's like, yo, all the signs are there if we ask the right questions or inspect stuff correctly. I got a #9, expect what you expect. Inspect what you expect. I actually learned that from Susie Harris, who is, I think she's still watching, but I learned that when she was my boss back in 2011 or 12. She used to always say, inspect what you expect. But that concludes the show today. As usual, I appreciate your minds and time. Until we meet again, I will continue to pour in to myself so I can pour into you, poking holes in the things that I teach so that I can make sure that on this platform, I'm not setting you up for failure. And I'm definitely making sure that we're walking in love. Y'all be safe. Again, appreciate your minds and time. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace.